Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
And my name is Greg Russ. Thank you for getting that out of the way, doing it immediately.
Woo! I did it.
Push notifications. Was that you that tried to sign on? Yes, it was me. Everything.
So many push notifications.
And I understand the additional layers of security, but logging into even this Riverside.fm, the platform we use to record our shows, logging into it, there's a security, push notification. And if you lose your phone, you're completely screwed.
Yeah.
Because you have to go to the phone, confirm it with your by tapping on it, and then it scans your fucking face. And it's too much.
It's a lot.
Yeah, because those criminals, those hackers, if they got into Riverside, I mean, I guess there's a lot of company podcasts, since this platform is through work, that have been recorded and those files live there. But whatever. We have your backlog of old raw audio for all your podcasts.
It is a lot. I mean, it's because it's not just like, okay, you can kind of justify something that you're using for work, but when it comes to the, my parents' cable that you need to log into, it's like, we're going to send you a thing and then you have to verify it this way. And then we also sent you an email. Update your password every 6 months. Google constantly logging you out of stuff.
I don't know what people could do with cable. They got into your Spectrum account. They could up it to they could change the digital cable package to the most expensive one.
Oh, God.
And then change
so
the
many
password.
Channels.
Yeah, then they could change the password and you wouldn't be able to go back and downgrade, and they'd be watching, on their laptop, all the TV channels that you are now paying for. So it's at some point somebody did get my Hulu password.
Oh, yeah. Someone got into my Netflix and changed it. And it was really sad because they changed it to theirs. And then they also had their kids on a little accounts. I was like, oh, sorry. I'll share my password if you don't fuck up my shit. But they took my password. They changed the password, and then kept billing me or whatever. But I was like, I would have just shared this with you, fam.
See, I'm so cynical at this point. I don't even trust that there was a family. I feel like that was the motivation behind adding the kids' pictures to personal profiles.
Yeah.
Maybe to guilt you into sharing the password for good.
Well, I couldn't share it because I had to take the account back because I couldn't log in anymore. And then it was like, all right, well, we sent you the confirmation to your email. Well, they went in and changed my email.
See, that's the problem. They should, with the Hulu account, somebody had just logged into it. I got an alert that somebody from Indonesia or something was using it.
Aww.
Which was interesting because my password was something along the lines of "fuck off."
I hate Indonesians.
How dare you? I did not say that. It was just a general fuck off to anyone. No.
Oh, okay.
No one countryman. They didn't change it. I did think about leaving it, but also I was like, nah, fuck that. Why should I share this free account that I get through T-Mobile with you? The free account with ads. It would drive you absolutely insane.
I hate Hulu. I hate Netflix.
Well, look, we got YouTube TV. Did I already bring this up? I probably already brought this up.
You talked about that.
YouTube TV, $40 a month. Come on, get rid of cable. Okay. Just kidding. $85 a month, fucker.
Well, even that, if YouTube TV had, I don't even know how it would be structured, but it would just need to have all the things that I watch on everything else. Random things that I think about, I haven't watched Alone, that History Channel show. I haven't watched that in so long. And now, Joe and I are watching it again, or I'm watching it again. And okay, so there's a new season that I haven't seen. So we're watching that. and it's on Netflix. And I had just gotten rid of my Netflix. It's like, I don't even use this. What am I doing? I think Ellie's watching it a little bit for some anime show, but she's fine with me getting rid of it. So I'm going to get rid of it. And then I start watching alone. It's like, oh man, I got to get it back. And it's like if YouTube TV had a bunch of stuff that was available on other platforms, then I would pay $80 a month, I guess. But then you're right. It's almost just like cable used to be, because cable used to be cheap. And then it was like $80 a month, maybe. At least I remember it being that. And then it went up to like 230.
Well, they always justified it with additional inane channels that you wouldn't watch. And sports packages was another big thing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want the sports package, you could say, and then they would lower the price. It got up to, I know people who paid like $200 a month.
That's that aside. Because it's like, well, I want to watch Sex and the City on E. It's like, all right, well, then I have to pay more. Oh, I'm watching Bravo also. All right, well, that's also more.
That's the only thing there is
a different
to watch.
tier,
Live TV is a bit outdated. I don't know anyone who cares. Like, is there any network that has a show that people have to see at any given moment? AMC
outside of
had
sports.
It. Yeah, AMC had it when they had Breaking Bad, and that was already 10 years ago since that ended. And then Better Call Saul was a show that I would watch in real time.
Walking Dead, I guess. But
fuck that.
Even that, people were fine with waiting because it kind of sucked.
Better Call Saul, I think, was the last show that I watched in real time. The YouTube TV, live TV at this point, is for us to put something on in the morning just to play in the background.
Yeah.
As we stare at phones. Start your day by scrolling through mindless videos.
Yeah.
Reading Reddit posts, shit like that. So I'll put on
right?
ER. Bar Rescue. And then it really is at that point, outside of sports, like you said, at night, it's like, all right, put on something to fall asleep to, because I don't like the dead silence. I have trouble sleeping when it's too quiet.
I listen to my AirPod. I listen to old Mr. Plinkett videos, or like Kit Boga.
You fall asleep to that voice?
Yeah. Or Kit Boga, which is like scammers yelling, "Do not redeem! Do not redeem it!"
This voice is the reason I've always hated those guys.
Oh, you should not hate them. They're amazing.
I can't help it. I hate this fucking voice.
That's a dumb reason, because Mr. Plinkett's hilarious. And he's like a serial killer, and
doesn't matter. It's like Marcel the fucking Shell. I
love Marcel the Shell, because I love Jenny Slate.
I have no problems with Jenny Slate, but I hate the voice of Marcel the Shell.
That's her voice. So you do have a problem with her.
It's her doing a character's voice.
She's so cute.
It has nothing to do with her. It's the voice.
Well, so the voice is cute.
Mr. Plinkett, and no, it's not cute.
It is. You're wrong. It's okay.
It's so on the nose cute that it's not cute.
It's not on the nose. It's her voice. Her voice is basically Marcel the Shell.
No, there's some kind of alteration there.
Well, there's a little bit, but it's a lot her.
There's a weird.
It's so cute. Anyway, it's okay to be wrong, Greg.
I mean, look, Christina watched the movie, cried.
Aw.
I hear it was a sad movie. I wouldn't know. I can't get over the voice.
I watched, oh man, TikTok got me good last night. I was in bed. I was waiting for the kids to settle or whatever. They had brushed their teeth and they were getting ready for bed. And I was watching a video, and it was of this husky and a little itsy bitsy baby boy. And it was just like videos of them. And then I realized, I looked at the caption, and it was like, I forget her name now. The dog. It was like, Gina was a good girl. And it was videos of the tiny baby, interacting with this dog, and the dog being so sweet and loving, and like making the baby laugh, and like them having such cute little times together. And the kid gets so big. The kid gets to be like 4, 5, 6 years old. And I'm realizing as I'm watching that this dog is dead. And now we're watching just videos of the bond being created from birth, from this boy to this dog. Oh, and I was crying and crying. And then I was laughing at myself because it's so dumb. Like, I was sitting here just fine, and all of a sudden, TikTok, fucking originally a dancing app, fucking got me. And then if you scroll like 2 more videos, it's like, a guy walking past a group of girls and farting and their reaction. Okay, what is this?
The passage of time is always an easy go-to to get emotional
Ugh.
reactions out of people. It's something that you, in everyday life, claim to have no feeling towards. There's no sentiment. You're like, whatever, who cares? But when you see it in a
It's not
condensed
who
way,
cares. It's just
when you see it in a condensed way, like this video you're talking about, and the opening to Up, shit like that, then people get all teary. See, I'm the one who realizes in real time that that's happening, and I'm always feeling that. It's like this
right,
is
and that's not healthy. Don't present that as like you're better. That's not healthy to do.
I just have a recognition that other people aren't able to grasp.
No, okay. I don't know about other people. I'm able to grasp it. It just doesn't frighten me. I'm not afraid of it. I don't think about it constantly or often.
It's not just fear. It's not just fear. It can be longing, nostalgia for something that hasn't happened yet, realizing that.
Yeah, that's anxiety.
It's not anxiety.
Yes, it is. Thinking about the future and like worrying about it, that's anxiety.
Now, I had a very good line that got people thinking when I officiated my sister's wedding back in November. I can't remember the exact line now, but I said something along the lines of, one day, this day will be 20 years in the past. It's very poetic.
True. It is poetic. That doesn't mean that this type of thinking can't lead to poetry or art or, something good. But
all right, you watch your dead dog videos and you weep and cry.
Yeah, because I'm crying about the bond that they had and then the loss. Like, that's sad. That's fine. That doesn't mean that I don't acknowledge or acknowledge it properly. The concept of death and dying.
I see those videos and I say, I don't need your spoon feeding. Go give it to the babies who can't bite down on the solid foods yet.
Yeah.
I do often think about animals in movies and stuff that are old and how
I always think like all of these animals are dead. Every single one.
How they died a long time ago. I used to have this picture of two kittens. I think it was hanging in the boys' room or something.
Yeah.
There's two kittens in a bathroom and they had suits on and they were smoking cigarettes. And the copyright on the picture was 1981. I was like, these cats are long dead.
They're way dead. They're weird little bones.
Also, yeah,
that's weird.
Why did I buy it? Was a picture I bought and put in a cheap plastic frame and hung it in the bathroom. Like it was
kind of funny.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, but I think I went to that poster store in the mall. Remember how every mall had the poster stores?
Oh yeah. You could also start to get not just posters there, but you could get like it would be like the Brooklyn Bridge but with lights in it.
Oh yeah. They used to be very expensive because those bulbs were not LED.
State of the art. Oh, they weren't LED?
Since the introduction of LED, all that shit should be cheap, and it also doesn't heat up, so you don't have to worry about your picture catching on fire. But those were more along the lines of those Christmas bulbs, if I recall.
I don't remember because I never went in, or it'd be like James Dean and the cigarette would light up,
I'm surprised at the amount of power of those Christmas lights. I'm not talking about the big glass bulbs, but the smaller ones, the plastic ones that, go to a point. Those still heat up. We put them on our Christmas tree and I realized that they were getting hot and also jacked the energy bill up by like $25 because we left them on constantly.
Oh yeah, you got to leave them on all the time.
Christmas tree sucking the power out of the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets brown and dries pretty quickly because of the steam heat, because the heat itself is not steamy. It's dry. It's a very dry heat and it'll dry out the Christmas tree. Anyway, the LED lights in that Brooklyn Bridge painting, I feel like those were in a lot of Chinese restaurants here in New York when I first moved here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for whatever reason, they like to put those type of paintings, those pictures on the wall. I also had the Chrysler building in a black and white that I
had the building of the Eiffel Tower, like in stages, I think that I probably got from Pier 1 at some point.
I can't say that my taste in art is
refined. When you're young, you don't know.
Well, I'm not saying at this point. Like at this point, it's not like it's refined. I just find interest in weird things, but at least they're one-offs and not mass-produced.
Yeah.
Or if they are mass-produced, it's like something from decades ago. And again, I'm not trying to justify anything I have in the house now, but looking back to going to the print store in the mall, and I'm not talking about Spencer's where you go to the back and you look at the one poster rack. This was the store where, there were frames and there were just huge bins that you could look through like you were looking through vinyl records to find what you wanted. And I would find these abstract art pieces, but at the end of the day, it's a print. It's like, it's a fucking print. I don't know. I think I had Nighthawks.
Yeah. Do you know the ones that are at a place like Home Goods or At Home or whatever that have they're also mass produced? They're prints, but they have like globs of paint on them, so it makes it look like they're painted. Have you seen that?
No, maybe. I don't know exactly what you mean, but I'm laughing because I don't know why I didn't know these existed, but when I was on Etsy one day looking for, I don't even remember, I came across paintings. It's like, oh, wow, like this person has a shop and they do these paintings, and that's kind of cool. So it's like on canvas, and it does look like it's actually painted, but then I realized those were mass produced too. It's like, so what's the fucking technique to do this?
Well, a lot of times they just have something like, it's not even globs of paint. It's like globs of clear or something. So it has the color behind it that's in the print. And it doesn't do it so big that it looks shitty. Like they do in these small little ways. Like maybe they put that stuff on, like medium-sized brushes and put it all over. So it looks like more painted and not printed, which is smart, but also like, I always have this weird sense of superiority when I look at them, like, not going to fool me. This isn't painted. I can see it.
Well, it's fair to have that sense.
Like I'm really smarter than At Home.
I approach these things when people buy something like that mass-produced Puffy paint picture. As you are where I was when I was 20. I figured this out. You're still an idiot.
Oh, okay. Like whoever might buy this.
It clearly sells.
Probably like an older woman.
Look, it clearly sells, right?
Yeah.
I just, again, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm coming off as very pretentious. I realize that, and I'm having trouble at this moment reconciling that. Okay. But why would you want to hang something mass-produced in your house
that you have no connection to? It's the same at Target. Like Target has some kind of cool stuff.
That's the thing, the connection. There's no connection. The person just sees something and says, "Okay, yeah, I'll put that on the wall." If there's a connection, that's nice, but then you go into your neighbor's house and they have the same exact thing, and I feel like that connection's destroyed. Mm-hmm. It's too easily destroyed. It's a fragile connection. So that's where these feelings live. You helped me figure it out. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did I tell you about the time? It was when Travis and I were still married and we were trying to make like friends, and we were hanging out with a friend of Pete's from daycare, his parents, and we're having a time over there, and they were really nice, but it just wasn't my vibe necessarily. And I was hanging out with Travis and the husband, and we were looking at these paintings on the walls, and it was one of those like sip and paint type of paintings. You could tell, it was like the orange background. You know what I'm talking about? The sip and paint things.
I don't know what that is. Is that where you go
it's like
drink
a date
and you
night.
paint?
Yeah, it's a date night where you can like bring your own like wine or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to warn you. I'm going to warn you before you get into this.
Okay.
We've got some of these upstairs. Christina went a few times.
Did she go with you?
No, she went with some friends.
No, that's fine. If you're going with girlfriends, that's fine.
Did a painting. I guess the painting that night was supposed to be like a city with buildings.
Yeah.
And then she put Godzilla's head peeking up behind one of the buildings. She added her own touch.
Yeah, because she's cool as shit.
So anyway, go ahead. Now you can shit all over sip and paint.
Well, listen, I'm not shitting on sip and paint. It's more that the
look, it's not my
thing.
It's not my thing.
Exactly. The husband and the wife went together, and it was on their wall in their dining room. And I was like, Oh man, I was looking at the husband like, oh man, like you got sent to that thing with your wife. You know, like I made it. I don't even know, but I was putting that vibe out there that it was like, haha, you had to do that dumb thing. And he was like, yeah, it was really fun. And I was like, oh, I had to like veer over to the other side of the road to not insult him because I was going to make fun of it with him.
What was
But
the painting?
I don't even remember, but in my mind, I'm picturing like the orange background with like the tree over to one side, and then like the tree's branches come out and they kind of like swirl around, kind of.
It's usually a theme, right? Don't you go in and they say, we're painting this tonight? Or is it free form? You paint whatever you want.
Here we go. I'm going to take a picture of my screen like a real boomer.
Taking a picture of your computer screen and sending that. These places, see the sip and paint thing, because it can be fun. I think there's a bunch of people who don't do creative things and then they get roped into that and they have some fun doing something creative. Yeah. Would I hang it on the wall?
That's not that's cool. I just don't know how many of those people I would get along with. Like have a really good time wanting to be friends with them, you know?
Anyone who goes to sip and paint?
No, not anyone, but the people that are like
I'm just trying to figure out the rules.
I don't have any concept of art or interest in it, and I made this thing and I think it's really good and I really like it and I'm putting it on my wall.
Funky tree.
That's the one I was picturing, and that's the one I saw. Yeah.
Oh, this is a virtual paint and sip.
Yeah.
Virtual.
I don't know why it says virtual, but
yeah, well, it sounds like a thing.
Like that's what I was picturing in my mind, so I must have seen it somewhere. Someone has it. Someone did it.
Enough with the virtual. Hey, we're going to do the virtual painting class. You connect on Zoom and buy yourself a bottle of wine, and we'll do this thing together. No, no. Therapy online. I'm sure I've already ranted about it. I think
that's
it's
only
bullshit.
Good if you have a relationship with your therapist already. Then
I still don't think you should ever default. It's nice to have that as an option. It's like, all right, yeah, look, we've been doing this for several years, and we're going to do it every other week, and it's just easier for us to connect. I still think you should go in at times. But in general, the fact that it is defaulted and people seem to prefer going to therapy virtually from the start blows my fucking mind. It's just
especially like the texting one is insane.
Well, texting, yeah, what the fuck? You're not getting anything out of that.
No. I mean, you might, but not like you would if you were actually there.
There is still a disconnect. Sitting on a virtual chat, even if you can see each other's faces, there's still a disconnect. And this presents itself in meetings at work. It's not the same as being in a room with people. And I've brought up that I actually hate the video meetings because you can't feel the room. You can't sense the mood. If you make some stupid little joke, even if people are laughing, they're all muted. You get zero reaction.
Oh, that's
and
awful.
It makes me more nervous when I have to speak in front of a room full of 50 Zoom people than if I were in an actual room. It's just easier to connect with people and work through it. With therapy, it's more challenging to be in person, to sit there in that room. If you're facing something that's difficult or you're trying to work through something, I don't know. I think of a session where I sat there for like 40 minutes and didn't say anything, and my therapist didn't force me to say anything. But there was value in that. Like if it happened every week, I'd say, what the fuck? Why aren't you helping me get through this?
Yeah, that's weird.
But I think there was value in that. It's like not forcing me to say anything. And there was a feeling that came along with being in that room that I wouldn't have gotten if I were sitting at home in my living room.
Right, an awkwardness that I guess you felt like you needed to sit through in order to feel.
Yeah, and even outside of that, you're more exposed being in the same room. Like there's this sense that this person can figure me out if I'm trying to lie. Look, if you're lying in therapy, it's on you anyway. It's like, why the fuck are you going in the first place? Though it could be interesting to then explore why you're lying. But people will go sometimes and try to present themselves as better than they really are. It's like you're just doing a disservice.
Because they're doing that for themselves.
Yeah, it's a disservice to yourself.
Yeah, they can't face it yet, but the therapist knows.
And not to say that doesn't happen when people are in person, but there's this sense, at least that I would get, that it's harder to pass that off than
Sure.
if you're on a video call. So whatever, if it opened therapy up to more people, I guess that's good. But I'm at the point where I don't even know if that's good, because now everyone has hijacked therapy as a thing that they present to make themselves known as a good person. It's like
Have
I
they?
go to. It's a big thing at this point where people say, especially in the dating scene, I've heard,
Oh.
if you're not in therapy,
Oh,
don't
I've heard that.
bother.
Or I guess maybe I've heard you say it, actually. I'm not sure. I've
It's a
heard
full
it.
180. Like anything else, it's now the opposite extreme. Nothing can just live where it needs to live, right in
Well,
the
that's
middle.
not true, because it can be your experience still. You can still get good things out of it without, even though you maybe feel like it's hijacked.
Well, people use terms that they don't fully grasp, or blanket terms, and they throw
Yeah.
them around on social media and in real life. And everyone's a fucking narcissist now, and everyone's
Everybody's a
gaslighting.
narcissist. Yeah.
You're no, you're you got a little sense of what these terms mean, and you just ruined them. Not everyone is a fucking narcissist. People are self-centered, yes.
Narcissists are self-centered. So,
That's what I mean. Just there's
right. But
certain
that's
traits.
where they're getting it from. So they're like, oh, well, then that person's a narcissist.
Being neurotic is self-centered.
Yeah.
Having this idea, oh, I got invited to a party and I don't really want to go, but I can't tell the person that I don't want to go because
Oh, I
it'll hurt
know.
their feelings, and it'll ruin. They don't give a shit. The party's going to happen whether or not you are there, and people are going to be fine.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, my mom has this a little bit where she is all powerful in some ways, where it's like, well, if I do this or say this to this person, I'll destroy them. So I better not say it, or I better not be honest with them, because, and I had this too, and I still have it. I still struggle, I guess. So whatever. But it's, if you're honest with this person and tell them that, like, oh, I just don't want to go to that party, you're going to destroy them because you are all powerful. And it's like, no, it'll be fine. Or they might have some feelings about it, but you're not going to destroy them. You'll be fine.
There
They'll
may
be
be
fine.
there may be a little bit of disappointment if they actually like you and would have wanted you at the party.
If they're dickheads and like make you feel like, no one can make you, I guess, but like, try to get you to be feel terrible for letting them down, then it's like, all right, well, you need to think about who this person is. But otherwise, just tell them. Just be honest. You're allowed to have thoughts and feelings, but it's like, that's the thing. It's like you are not allowed to have any real feelings or thoughts because they'll destroy the person. So like one idea is like you don't deserve to have feelings or thoughts, and then also you're so powerful at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a level of neurosis.
Which stems from
Neuroticism.
anxiety, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's an anxiety thing.
It's all tied together, wrapped up, tangled in some yarn ball. I deal with the same thing.
Gaslighting.
And, talking about telling a person you can't go to the party and them feeling disappointed.
Yeah.
If they were the type of person who really let that destroy them, I'm so disappointed and now the party's ruined. Or if they said, well, why really aren't they coming to the party? They must hate me or something.
Yes, that's the thing that you imagine happening, right? Is that they're gonna.
Well, there are people like that.
So much.
There are people like that, and one of the
Well, I think
problems,
my mom's mom was like that, and that's why she thinks that that's going to happen anytime she, slightly disappoints somebody, which is what I did too. I always tell Joe, like, I get worried when I have to give him or tell him anything that is like just under good, like just slightly not perfect or fun,
Yeah, I struggle with the same thing.
Yeah.
And some of it stems from the fact that I dated a few really anxious people. Even though if you look back at my history, it's like, actually, most people weren't that anxious.
Oh, you think so? You think you were just doing it?
Well, some people were. And I think...
Like, for some reason, it was helpful for you to like, no, I'll manage you so I don't have to manage me.
Well, it was always easy for me to give those people understanding. So I felt like I was able to present something to them that they found to be valuable, which in return made me feel valuable.
Yeah.
And that was great up front. It's like, man, there's a real understanding here. That's what I could give a person. But then when I wasn't able to communicate clearly, then it sent them into those kind of spirals, which then only compounded the fact that I didn't know what to say because I felt as though one little piece of "I don't want to hang out tonight" news would turn into, "Well, now you want to break up." It's like, no, that's not what that
Yeah.
by any means. But then those things would just compound, and still to this day, I find myself, even if I do express that I need something or I want to do something that's going to kind of maybe go against what the other person wants,
Yeah.
that when they say that's fine, it's like, oh, is it really though? Is it really?
Yeah.
You're not telling me the truth here.
Yes, totally.
So I understand where this comes from, but in this modern world, that kind of behavior, anybody who thinks that they have an outsized impact because they're neurotic would now be a narcissist.
No.
If you didn't tell a person something because you were worried it would hurt their feelings, you just get looked at and like, well, you're abusive, you're emotionally abusive, you're withholding, you're a narcissist. This seems to be where we've landed with a lot of people. And gaslighting, nobody fucking understands what that means. Everybody uses it incorrectly. It's
what
just,
do you mean incorrectly? How are people using it incorrectly?
I think anytime somebody does something, says something slightly mean to another person,
Oh,
is a little rude to another person, isn't completely open in the moment to hearing what another person has to say, is dismissive, it all just gets dumped under gaslighting. You're gaslighting me. Do you fucking understand what the term means? You don't. Just behavior that is less than, nice is not gaslighting.
no, it's the reaction to someone being mean to you, right? It's like saying, like, why are you so upset? Like, why are you freaking out? I feel like Eric kind of gaslights because he'll say something shitty, and then if you respond to it, he's like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like,
Well, gaslighting there is a form of dismissiveness to it. You're dismissing what the person perceives as real, and you convince them that what they're sensing and feeling isn't real. And then they start to question, like, well, maybe you're right. Maybe I am out of line. So there's a level of dismissiveness to it, but just general dismissal is not gaslighting. It's just challenging. I used to do it, not purposefully, but if I think back to my relationship with Molly, when she would tell me things that she needed or ways I was behaving that, went against things that she needed, I just had a complete inability to accept that because to me it meant like I was a total failure. And so I would come back at her. It's like, that's not true.
oh,
What you're talking about's wrong. And did it ever get to the point where she bought into what I was saying and questioned herself? I don't know. But there was at least the foundation of it where I was challenging her reality and trying to get her to believe that the things that she felt were not real, just to protect my own fragile ego.
well, see, that's not gaslighting. Trying to convince her that what she's feeling is not real is not gaslighting. That's you just saying you're not feeling.
I thought that's the definition of it.
I thought gaslighting was, like I said, where it's like, I do something shitty to you and then you react to it. And now I'm like, why are you freaking out?
No, it's look here.
Oh, now we're both, I don't know.
A psychological manipulation technique that involves making someone question their own reality.
Right. So saying, all right. So you saying that's not true?
And then giving reasons why and trying to dismiss what the person's saying. Yeah. It's like what you're sensing in this relationship is real. The things you have presented to me are real. I am not giving you this. I am acting that way. But to come at you and try to make you question those things, that is the definition of it.
Well, either way.
Look, the fact that we can't even pinpoint it goes to show nobody should be using the fucking term.
That's what I was going to say. It was like, it doesn't even really need to be a term. Like clinicians can use it, I guess. We don't necessarily need to be using it. It's more like this person is trying to deny how I feel. And I don't like that. So I should do something about it. I don't need to have a word for it. But I guess if people feel like they have to have a word for it.
They like to have a
good.
word for everything. They like to have a label for everything. Pop psychology online, I do not know if it's that helpful, honestly, at the end of the day. If I were a therapist, I would be annoyed that there are people online spreading misinformation. Even if it's rooted in, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make people aware of things. To take actual terms that have meaning and bastardize them, I don't think that's a helpful thing.
Yeah. We should figure out a way to bastardize the word bastard so that we can bastardize bastardizing.
I'm surprised that it hasn't been outlawed at this point. Because there are actual people who are bastards, and by using the term, it's going to make them feel bad.
That's a good point.
You can't just throw that term around.
Yeah, there are real people who are bastards, and every time you say that, it hurts me.
It was like when Beyonce used spaz in her song.
She did?
Yeah, this was a couple years ago. And the backlash.
I don't remember.
She changed the fucking lyrics because people got so pissed off. You can't just use spaz. There are real spastic people out there.
I can't sing shoop anymore because they say retard in it. And then they go like this, say something about a retard, and she goes, Urgh!
I don't laugh at that.
It was funny because I never really knew. I never paid attention to it as a kid. And then as an adult, when I realized that's what she was saying, and then that's what she was doing, I was like, holy shit. It's fucked up.
It's ruined.
I'm going to find it. We're going to play it.
No. Don't get me canceled by using the R word. I think back to the Futureplex, where I traveled through time and brought back music from the future. Anyway, the point is that at the end of one of the episodes, I had a text-to-speech voice say something about catching up on old episodes, and I used the word. I had it say that word.
The R word.
Now that exists forever.
Oh my God, you're going to get canceled.
It exists forever on Tumblr, and I can't even share my brilliant work with people because that's all they'll focus on. They'll just hear that I used that word, and of a different time doesn't matter. You should have known back then. Even though there was a real definition to that word.
Yeah.
And even the group of people who had Downs used that word at one point.
Sure. Here, I've got it. You ready?
No.
Yes.
You want my ball, here's the hot rod. 12 inches to a yard and have you sounding like a retard.
You're laughing. Unfucking-believable.
I'm laughing because it's so crazy that they
You know how much I have to lose?
Oh my God.
You know,
that's
one
wild.
rogue person listens to this and reports it.
Don't do that. Don't jump on Eric's train where like everything's going to get you canceled.
There is a level of truth to it. I wish I didn't feel uncomfortable because I do want to laugh at it.
Oh,
It is.
laugh at it. It's fine. You're not laughing at someone with that. You're laughing that is something that someone did.
I mean, Slow Mo was one of my favorite rappers.
Who's Slow Mo?
There was a website.
Who's slow?
His name was Slow Mo, and he was a rapper.
Okay.
But you know, these things these days, you get the one person.
Well,
the one
whatever.
highly
Fuck that one
educated
person.
white person who carries a lot of guilt that they put on themselves for being white, who needs to prove that they're one of the good white people, who hears this and then they take it and they melt it down and remold it into a bullet and then they shoot it at your head.
Let them.
And when you're done and ruined, they still don't feel good about their existence. But for maybe
I wouldn't
a second,
care. Like whatever. I'm not afraid of that shit because I know that I'm not anything like that. And if something did happen, like I do think about stuff that I've said in the past and thought like, that's where I was then. It's not where I am now. It sucks that I said that on air, but okay. You know, people are allowed to change, and anybody that is a reasonable person knows that.
stop with your rational take.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not where we are. Even if we
I
are
don't
swinging,
care where anybody else is. That's where I am. Do you know what I mean?
even if we are swinging away from the extreme, the most extreme part of
Yeah,
all of this,
it was pretty bad for a while.
and a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork speaking out against it, how they couldn't stand it, but it proved how much power there was, and that's pretty shitty. The fact that people just felt it easier to stay quiet, not risk anything.
Like Jimmy Fallon, who did that Chris Rock impression.
I don't know anything about this.
He did a Chris Rock impression on Saturday Night Live where he had like, I don't want to say it's blackface because blackface is a very specific thing, and that also has been bastardized. He had makeup on to look like Chris Rock, and he did a great impression, and I'm sure that they are friends. But he like had to come out and be like, I did something in the 90s that I shouldn't have done, and looking back, blah 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 blah.
Most people would understand the context of it.
Yeah.
They'd also accept that, okay, things have changed and maybe we shouldn't do that anymore, but I'm not going to hold it against you. But the people who wouldn't, who wouldn't lend that to Jimmy Fallon, who would have preferred to used it against him and sliced him open with it, they had way too much fucking power. And it's interesting that they got that much power. If in a vacuum, it's interesting. Because it was reality. It's not so interesting because people were hurt by it. But it's like the fact that I'm going to go dig up tweets from 12 years ago.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And use them against you.
What do you think about people that did for real blackface, like in their college days in the 50s? And that comes out. Like, what do you think about that?
I don't think the person should be destroyed over it. I'd be curious to hear their feelings about it now. I have a hard time assigning any permanent blame to a person when they're 19, 20, around that age. It's like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot in so many fucking ways. And it doesn't mean that you're not an asshole. And it also doesn't mean
your fraternity or your sorority was doing this thing that they've done for centuries. And you're like, well, I want to be a part of this because you're just only 19 years old and you've never been out of the house. And
yeah, there's the bigger conversation. Should you really be doing this? No. Okay, let's put an end to it. But anyone who ever partook in it, should they be destroyed? No, probably not.
Right.
I mean, I think back, if everything was documented in my life,
yeah,
it wouldn't be good. I'm not even talking about specific examples, but I just know that there were things like you go through a phase. I went through a phase like you try to be shocking. You're trying to figure out who you are. And some of that is pushing boundaries on various topics. And at the time,
the boundaries were different than they are now. So you might have, I mean, I remember speaking of, the R word, like, remember like in middle school, you would do that thing where you like put your hand up on your chest, like, and you would call people that.
Yeah, and you should be,
dude. If that was video, if that was on like someone's phone and then posted, and it was fine at the time, and then somebody could just dig that up, you're like, oh shit.
That maybe wasn't even fine at the time, even if it shouldn't have happened at the time. But it shouldn't be held against you because this video
you're like 13
exists.
years old.
But there are plenty of people who want to. They just love the power. I guess they get drunk on that feeling. It's like, look what I can do to other people.
People really, I was trying to say this on the show the other day, but I was thinking that people really need to point their shit inward. Stop going outward for everything, whether it's something to blame or not to say you should blame yourself, but there are things that you could be doing for yourself, like putting this energy that you have going out, put it in. So that you can think about your decisions or your thoughts or your behaviors and see what that means to you.
It's swung
see how
too
it's
far.
Working for you.
It's swung
instead of
too
saying
far.
Like, this is happening out here and I don't like it. And this person is this and I don't like it. And that person, this group of people is this. It's like, no, just
it is swung
get a
too
mirror.
far.
Start with the man in the mirror.
There was a time when you were supposed to internalize everything and don't let everything out.
God, these fucking idiots.
And when we moved past that, it's like, hey, you can express things. It's okay to feel things and talk.
Pussy.
Yeah, people ran with it though. And then they started externalizing everything.
Yeah.
I do not know why people have a real inability.
That's still external. That's still out. Go in.
That's what I'm saying. They went too
Yeah.
far. I don't know why people have a real inability to settle in a middle ground, which is where you should live. Not everything should be externalized. Not everything should be internalized.
Right.
But people like to operate in either or. It's like, Jesus,
Well, because it's difficult,
fuck.
right? And the idea that you're expressing yourself when really you're not really doing anything. You're just feeling like you're expressing yourself. That's still not inward. That's still not really expressing yourself. That's like putting your shit on others or, you know, being cruel under the guise of honesty.
That's what I was going to say. There's a phony vulnerability and openness to it.
Well, that's what I was thinking when you were talking about how you would behave with your past girlfriends. When it's like it's like that last season of Love is Blind where all these guys had never had therapy before and they have like these traumas and they have a blank wall that they're finally able to talk to, and they're really just talking to themselves about what's happened, and they have this, they're crying or whatever, and they feel like they're being the women feel like they're being so vulnerable, right? And in reality, they're just finally getting something off their chest. They're not really being vulnerable to that woman.
No, you could replace that woman with any other woman and they'd love them at that moment.
Right. So it's not really a connection. And so when you were talking about like what you do for it's like, it wasn't fake sort of vulnerability, but it was more like a shortcut to understanding and caring that you were giving them. Right? By like taking care of their anxiety for them or like helping them and stuff.
Yeah, when you put it in that terms, it also sounds like a very conscious choice. Like I realize that.
Oh yeah, not consciously, but just what ends up happening.
I mean, there's a level of connection. Yes, it's. Hey, I understand this. Understanding does lead to connection.
Because then you get, like you said, you get to feel good because like you're helpful and you have a place, you have something to do instead of it just being you.
Yeah, you also get
and then
to
they feel like, oh, finally
shit.
someone understands me.
Yeah, and you can hide from your own stuff. It's like, oh, look, we're focusing on you and the things you feel. And within that, I can twist it so it seems like I'm revealing things about myself, but you know nothing.
I mean, I didn't do that exactly, but I did that with like seeming like I was very emotionally intelligent. I mean, I am, but also like for other, like I would be
like
I would be controlling, huh?
I just like the cockiness. That's what I laughed at.
Oh, I am. It's true.
Continue.
But yeah, I would be controlling their feelings, and I would kind of be doing what you were talking about, where it's like, no, that's not like, no. This is the way that the feelings should go. You know,
I'm thinking. The way I set things up really was fucked up. So people who are anxious, I lend them the understanding. It's like, I get this. I understand where you're coming from, what these feelings are. But then at some point, it turned into, I understand it, but don't fucking put that shit on me. Like that's what it ended up becoming, which is really shitty. Because once I was settled, it's like, all right, well, yeah, I get it, but I don't have time for this. I want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Then they have nowhere to go.
Well, yeah. I do know.
Manipulative bastard. Let's say this behavior is not that I'm talking about myself. It's not good behavior, but it also wasn't conscious behavior. But there would be people who would like to put that out there as if it were something I was doing on purpose.
Right. Like he
abusive.
does. Yeah.
I was thinking like the don'tdatehimgirl.com website that existed in whatever year, 2006, when I was put on it.
Right.
It's like, Jesus. Okay, there is... What we're talking about specifically wasn't the reason I was put on that site. I was put on that site because it was when I was dating Claire, and she had cheated with her ex, and she got word that I met somebody at a concert I was broadcasting from for 99X and like exchanged numbers with them. And should I have exchanged numbers? No, but that relationship was a fucking mess and it was falling apart. And so she took that as an opportunity to put up there that I was like cheating. It's like, oh, okay, that's not what happened in this instance, but sure. just put any false information. That aside,
Sure.
somebody could go and say that the behavior I was partaking in, I don't know a better way to phrase that, but my behavior was abusive. And on some level, I guess I don't know, abusive is such a strong word. I wouldn't go as far to say it was abusive, but on some level, yeah, it's not nice behavior to a person. And to me, being unaware isn't a complete excuse. There is you need to have self-awareness. I think that there's a responsibility for people to figure their own shit out, and a lot of people don't, and that's a problem. But you should give somebody the benefit of the doubt and said, hey, if we point this out to you and you realize that you're doing this, does that bother you? And would you want to change that? And if the answer is yes, then leave the person alone. But everyone just likes to label everyone else as a piece of shit. And you bring up Love is Blind. And if you go read the fucking subreddits for that show, everyone's fucking abusive. Everyone is set out to be purposefully manipulative and destroy other people. It's like,
No.
I don't think that's not everyone.
Some people are just screwy and not doing it on the other person. The other person is the victim.
Most people aren't sociopaths.
No.
Sociopaths do that shit, but most people aren't.
Right.
Yeah, it's the victim thing too. It's always maybe it's more interesting to have the bad guy and the good guy.
Oh, it's way more black and white. There's no need for more discussion. There's no need for anything else. That person's bad. That person was good. The end.
That whole show is bullshit, by the way. I'm not saying I don't enjoy watching it, but it puts people in very stressful, unrealistic situations. You have this, I don't want to say phony connection. There's a real connection when people talk in those pods, but you talk for, I don't know how long the pods go on. 2 weeks at most, maybe. You talk in the pods, you form connections. As we already established, some of those connections are just people expressing themselves in ways they haven't expressed themselves before, and they mistake that as love.
Yeah.
And clearly some of these relationships have worked, so I don't want to completely dismiss it. But then you get engaged before you even fucking see the person. And we all know physical attraction is an important role in all of this too. Then you put people on a honeymoon. So somebody who was a stranger as a few weeks ago is now somebody you're holed up in a hotel room with in an exotic location. That's weird. You could certainly get into the physical part of it, but there would be moments of like, what the fuck? This is really weird. This person right here, people hook up all the time, but to be with the person nonstop for several days, and then you're, put in an apartment and expected to live your real life with a looming wedding 2 weeks away.
We've promised each other we're getting married now, so we have to do this.
Yeah, it's not real life. And the pressure that is put on people leads to a lot of the drama that the show needs to exist. But these people buy into it, like the sanctity of the experiment. And I'm a failure because I couldn't make it work. Like most people probably couldn't make this work because it's not realistic.
It's not realistic. It's the experiment, I think, is a failure, or the hypothesis, right?
Well, just saying, let's not get married and let's just date because I do like you and I want to see where this goes. But it never works because I just think you can't recover from what that show is set up. It probably always feels like a failure. Well, it was supposed to be us getting married and now we've settled for dating. So I just doesn't feel like we really, made it. We failed.
Right.
And clearly some people get married and stay married. And that makes sense if certain people are in a certain mindset where they're ready for such a thing and they do connect on that level and they actually match up and how they want to, how they view that as, going, then sure, it can work. But what a dumb concept. And what a fucking bill of goods, snake oil they've sold people who go on that show.
Well, the people that go on that show now, right? It's different than how it started. Because people now are going to know that it's, I mean, I'm sure producers are telling them to talk about the experiment, and maybe they sort of sort of like indoctrinate them on the experiment and what it is and how it's like something really interesting and we're finding out about human behavior or something. But now they just know, right, that this is something we're going to try and do. I think what really happens is like for those people that may just be like, well, let's try this out. Like, okay, I'm single. And then they get through it if shit really goes down and then the person asks them to marry them. I'm obviously the woman in this scenario. You're like, oh no, I'm in over my head, you know? And I've sunk all this time. I'm on this show. If I say no, then it's just over for me, I guess. So I better say yes because I want to go on vacation. I hope this guy's okay. And then you're like, oh no, I'm getting married for real. They're going to for real make me get married. Oh shit.
I do agree that if I were in a situation, I was like, I'm not really sure about this, but I do enjoy talking to this person and I'll get to go on a free vacation and continue.
You gotta drum up a couple of tears and say something about love, you know, and you're like, guess I'm doing this. So Joe knew 2 people on last season and he knew that one of them would be at least eligible for like making it in the show. You know how like there's some ghost people there, right? That are like, they're there and you don't hear anything about them. They're never featured.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he knew, so that was one of the people. And so he knew that he was like, that makes sense because that person's really normal. Like, they're not going to fuck around. But the other one was like, oh yeah, that makes sense for her to make it.
The claim that some of these people go on the show for fame, I'm not dismissing that, but it's a dumb way to think you're going to get famous. Name people from, well, you know, last season because that was the DC one. And
I couldn't name them though.
Yeah, 2 seasons ago. I guess
I called them by funny names, like guy whose sisters are dead, and then the art guy. I'm like,
you quickly forget who was on the fucking show.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's catapult to fame that's everlasting. It's like in the moment, sure, get as many followers as you can, and then that way you'll pop up in their feed and you can stay relevant to them for a bit until they get bored of you. But
yeah,
I don't think after the initial appearance on the show that you have an influx of more people. It's not an ongoing thing. So sure, if you want to go on to up your brand status, good luck.
I found out last week that it would pay more than I'm making now.
Yeah, $1,000 a week.
Yeah. I checked that afterward. I was like, is that true? Am I really? I was like, oh yeah. Before tax, after taxes, that's true. Before taxes, it's not.
Still.
Yeah.
Not very good.
It's not very good.
You're famous and rich. You're on the popular radio
show. I can't get another job. I'm rejected everywhere.
I don't know. Your resume's in a weird spot.
I mean, I'm trying to customize my resume for people.
You're going to have to go into real estate.
Yeah, I guess so. Like,
that's the move. That's the only place.
That's what they say. Yeah, everybody that's out of radio goes into real estate.
It doesn't translate to anything else.
But that's not the only thing I've ever done. I've done like, or am doing.
I know, but there are big gaps. People see, well, you haven't done that in decades. You've been doing this radio thing.
Well, decades. Just decade.
It's a shame it doesn't have the status that it used to. If in the past, before TV, people would say, you're on the radio and you want to work here?
Wow.
Yeah, I'll hire you. You were doing this amazing thing. Now they look at it and they say, I don't know.
Like, how's that going to do?
Radio?
What is that? Like Sirius XM?
I guess the Hoff has to give you a job.
Well, they have given me a job. I do have a job with them.
Yeah, bigger job. Driving the truck.
I got to move to chat.
Delivering the goods. Oh, God, you got to move.
I'm not moving.
No, your kids are going to be grown before you know it.
Yeah, but Joe has kids here too.
Maybe he moved to Chattanooga.
Aw. That'd be cute. I like Joe a lot.
You could live in the choo-choo.
I would move I would move to Chattanooga with Joe.
Well, if you need the
I have
job.
to make my mom move too.
Why you even bring up your dad?
What's that?
You don't even bring up your dad.
Well, he'll just go wherever.
Just goes along for the ride.
What else can he do?
I don't know. He's got a lie in your resume. Just make up jobs.
Well, I kind of, I've worked at Hoff and Pepper way longer than,
You've been promoting the hot sauce for years at this point.
That's true.
You can say ever since we started this podcast in 2019.
I said since 2020.
So there you go. You can say, I've been working for Hoff and Pepper.
Yeah.
It's 2019. Telling people to use the promo code.
That's right. Oh, I could look that up right now, actually. How often that's been used. Let's see.
No, I know it doesn't get used. I don't want to know that nobody listens
Why?
and uses it.
Maybe people do. Let's see.
No. Look that up on your own. Off the show. We're at an hour. We got to wrap it up.
Oh my God. 37 times.
over 6 years.
37 times, $1,609 in sales. Yeah.
Yeah, over 6 years. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Use the code ONETOPIC for 15% off. Hoff and Pepper. Look, the ketchup's like $17.
Hey, you know what? Right now, for my listeners, I'm going to change it to 20%.
You can
And
change.
you can
Wow,
use
that's
the
power.
topic. You can use the discount code ONETOPIC15 for 20% off your order. Save. Bam. Bam, a ding dong. I got you. 20%, beach.
But again, when the ketchup's $17, 20% still making it $14.
Is the ketchup $17?
Christina saw something at one of the
Ketchup?
grocery stores here.
Oh, well, at the grocery store, it's different. If you get it online, it's $11.
They marked it up to 17.
Yeah.
Just hard to
It's
say.
$10.99.
The condiment.
If you wanted to get, well, the ketchup's not my favorite. The barbecue is my favorite. And, ooh, what's 20% of 11?
$2 and something cents.
20%. Oh, yeah, $2.20. So $10.99 time minus 2.20. You got $8.79. So much cheaper. That's really cheap.
All right, go use the code.
Hey, 20%. Use OneTopic15. Make us some sales, BBs.
Wrap it up.
I love you guys. Thank you so much. What?
I'll say thank you for wrapping. I have to shower. I fucking stink.
Okay. Bye.